I also remember as if it was yesterday the 1998 Football World Cup, not just because Brazil lost the finals to France, but because my dad and I went to watch the match in our church. And when we were heading back home, just by our house, we were stopped by a police car. Four officers came out of the car yelling, "Hands up!" and pointing a caliber 38 to myself and my dad. They put us against the wall, kicked open our legs, searched us with no warrant, and when they realized that we had no drugs, no weapons, they told us to leave. They said they were looking for somebody that looked like us. I was 10 when a 38 caliber was just a few inches from my forehead. Hi there, how are you guys doing? For those of you that don't know me, I'm Lukas from Brazil, born and bred in the outskirts of São Paulo, one of the major cities in South America. I enjoy using social media to share great and funny things. Videos, photos, comments, jokes, you name it. I believe life can be hard, so I enjoy social networking in order to relax a bit, to have a laugh. However, today, I want to talk to you about something different. Something that is of mine and that I had not yet shared this way in public. I'm going to talk about my story with racism. I don't know about you, but my heart is heavy. Heavy not just because of what is happening in the US, a leading country in the modern world, but also everywhere else, including my own nation, Brazil, where recently a 14-year-old black boy was murdered by the police during a task force in the favelas of Rio de Janeiro. João Pedro is just one of many. You can Google it. I want to share brief aspects of my story so that hopefully it will open the eyes of many to the reality around us and the fact that racism is a lot closer than you think. To encourage those who are going through it and say, you are not alone. And 3, to make a few remarks of my own. My goal is not to create a pity party. I know who I am, whose I am, what I've been and go through to this very day. When I was a child, one of my first memories when it comes to education is about a preschool I went to in São Paulo. I was 5. Once, there was a school trip to the local post office, and due to a misunderstanding, one of the kids actually stayed in the classroom. When we got back from the trip, that was literally just around the corner, a kid that didn't like me and often made references to the color of my skin told the teacher that I told the boy not to come. Me, the only black kid in the class. That time I was punished to sit next to the bin for 2 weeks. I was 5 years old. Still, when I was a kid around where I lived, I was called a nigger, niggy boy, darky, and a lot of other names, all to do with the color of my skin. As if there was something wrong about being black. I also remember as if it was yesterday the 1998 Football World Cup, not just because Brazil lost the finals to France, but because my dad and I went to watch the match in our church. And when we were heading back home, just by our house, we were stopped by a police car. 4 officers came out of the car yelling, "Hands up!" and pointing a caliber 38 to myself and my dad. They put us against the wall, kicked open our legs, searched us with no warrant, and when they realized that we had no drugs, no weapons, they told us to leave. They said they were looking for somebody that looked like us. I was 10 when a 38 caliber was just a few inches from my forehead. During my teenage years, I received a scholarship and got myself a place in one of the best colleges in the city, in a wealthy neighborhood. There, I made great friends that I keep to this very day. There, I was also called a dirty nigger, a stinky nigger, that I had no place being there. I remember not feeling great and even crying every time it happened. There were 2 black people in that college, myself and a friend. This happened between the age of 14 and 18. In that college, once I was coming home by bus when officers woke me up and told me to get off the bus. Myself and 2 other black men, heads against the wall. I had my legs kicked open once more. I was searched. My belongings were searched too. They couldn't find anything. They checked my ID against the police database and nothing. In the end, they said, "Get out of here, you nigger." I was 13. I grew up in circles where people would say, Can I just make a racist joke so we can have a laugh? You don't mind, do you? It's just a joke, not really about you. Every week there was something similar. Going to uni, I got into law school, and one of the most prestigious in my city. I got internships in the best firms in the country. Every time I was granted an interview by the sole fact that I speak 4 languages. Those interviewing me would be surprised by the fact that I was black. You see, you don't get a photo with a CV. At one of these firms I worked for, there was a day that I was asked for a chat with one of the civil and arbitration lawyers in an empty corner of the office. There, he kindly told me to have my hair cut, as it did not present a good image of the firm to its clients. I didn't understand at the time. I was the only black person in the whole legal department. Besides me, there were the boys who ran errands and the cleaning ladies, all black people. At that firm, there was a day that one of the boys told me that him and the others were so proud of me because I was black and I was there in equal footing with everyone else. Being from the hood and being there, I was the only one they knew. I now live in South Wales in the United Kingdom with my wife and children. This is one of the politest places I've ever been to. And here, in the past couple of years, I went through some embarrassing, to say the least, moments in supermarkets and public places. People who've never seen me nor spoken with me looked at me and whispered in my ear, "Scum," "filth," and moved on. In a sports scenario, I've been in changing rooms where people shouted, "Get your dick out, man, show us how big it is." Now I want to stop here. These are just a few things I wanted to share. There is more, but this is not the right time. Every time black voices rise up and say Black Lives Matter, people who are not part of this community of people and do not understand the pain, they say, "No, all lives matter." I say no, not all lives matter, until Black Lives Matter. Let me illustrate it for you. If there was a road where one house was on fire, you'd call the fire brigade and you'd tell them, "Can you splash every house in the street because they all matter?" Or do they go to the house on fire? Well, black people's homes around the world are on fire, and it's been a long time. Now I must ask you, when are we going to understand that when we value a fight, a stand against something that is wrong, we're not devaluing everything else? Are we so selfish not to understand our neighbor's pain? Those who day after day, week after week, year after year, and decades live in a system that was designed to oppress you and not let you nor those who look like you to prosper. There are many ways to destroy a people. You can put a bullet in their head, you can put your knee on their neck and not let them breathe, or simply not let them access good education. Put them in ghettos after you set them free from bondage and slavery. Not to invest in infrastructure or even treat them differently as they are approached by the different powers and forces ruling a nation. A preacher once said there is a fight between order and justice, those who demand order and those who demand justice. Only with justice there can be true order. Without justice, order brings inequality and it festers. Inequality generates exactly what we're seeing happen around the world. So I say once more, justice. I know you may ask me, does every officer act like the ones who approached you when I was 10 or 13? No, I've got family in the police force, and they are one of the men and women with the highest level of integrity I know. But as a black man, am I concerned when I'm approached by the police? Yes. There are people who do not believe in racism and the reason why things need to change. I then ask you, have you been through any of these things simply because of the color of your skin? If you were not black, but you are a father and a mother, just for a moment imagine having a black child. Picture him or her going through some of these things and heading home shaken or destroyed by them. Some may even say that racism is a thing of the past, that you conquer racism by not talking about it, letting it be forgotten. I'm 31 years old, and this is part of my life. Facts simply cannot be denied. There is a quote attributed to Will Smith that says, "Racism isn't getting any worse, it's just being filmed." Think about all those who did not or are not making the news. People seem to think that black people want special treatment. No, we want equality. We are under, not the same. Does it make sense? Now, I want to humbly ask you for 5 things. First, educate yourself. Learn about it, read about it, listen, research. Talk to black people who go through it every day. 2, stop making jokes. Stop others making jokes about it. It ain't funny. It kills both the body and the soul. 3, keep yourself informed and support those who are working for change. 4, don't vote for racists. Just don't put them in power. And lastly, 5, pray. I'm a Christian, and I believe that Jesus is at the forefront of this conflict, and so should the church be. The world is broken, and we are angry at what is happening. I believe in a God who is near. I believe in divine intervention because human will is simply not enough. May God do what we can't. Pray. You don't need to be black in order to fight for a society that is more equal and fair for all. In the Gospels, there is a parable that says that Jesus left 99 sheep in search for the one. Not that the 99 didn't matter, but they were not in danger. For all of them to matter, the one needed to be rescued. To end with, here is a quote from the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. He said, "In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends." Do not remain silent. Teach your children about it. I know it can be heavy, but it's real. Thank you for listening. My desire is that by sharing just a little bit of my story with racism, you will realize it's everywhere. If you suffer with racism on a day-to-day basis, I want you to know you are not alone. And I do hope that the remarks that I made you reflect on it. My regards, and Black Lives Matter.